السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته خيارتها هودا نغلا سocotay meel kasto dunida ka joogtaan kusoo dhawaada barnaamijka arrimaha bulshada oo xilligan oo kale si toos ah uga daawataan TV-ga Universal xaruntiisa dhexe magaalada London. Barnaamijkan caawa ayaa waxa uu daba socdaa barnaamij hadda ka hor aan halkan ka soo deynay oo looga hadlayay gudniinka qaybihiisa kala duwan ee hablaha ama waxa loo yaqaan FGM ka oo ku haysta problem weyn dadka dunida joogeen badan oo kamid ah gaar ahaan gabdhaha Soomaaliyeed haday ahaan lahayd hooyooyinkeen haday ahaan lahayd ayeeyooyinkeen haday ahaan lahayd gabdhaheena iyo waliba kuwa yaryar oo dhalayba hadaba barnaamijkan caawa ayaan waxaan jecelnahay inaad ka qayb qaadataan meel kastoo dunida joogtaan sidii loola dagaalami lahaa ama si looga hortagi lahaa ama loo soo afmeeri lahaa FGM ka totally and completely one is for all waxaana loo baahan yahay kulligeen inaan isku tagno oo aan wax ka qabano waxaana caawa barnaamijkan marti iigu ah sargaal sare oo ka tirsan ciidamada booliiska ee London oo magaciisa la yiraahdo Keith Naven oo ah asagu detective chief superintendent specialna maxay u ah child abuse ka commander kooda ah caruurta in la faro xumeeyo ama se la gudo laga hortago waxaan ognahay sida kalena FGM ku inuu yahay violation of human rights and xuquuqda insaanka inay ka hor imaanayso tolinkan iyo jarjarkan lagu sameeyo gabdhaha yararka ayadoo aqoon darro inta badan loogu sameeyo iyo jacayl hooyadu gabdhaheeda u qabtay iyadoo doonaysa inay guursato meel wanaagsan ka soo baxdo oo aysan maaragtay loogaga teginin ama calafkeedu uusan asiibinin inkastoo calafka ilaahay uu qoro ee gudniinkana aysan ku xirnayn hadaba waxaan jeclahay inaan soo dhaweeyo warm welcome Keith welcome to Universal TV.
Thank you very much, Abby.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Tell us a bit about FGM.
Yeah, Abby, we obviously here in London we are seeking to address the issue of FGM. We want to eradicate FGM. The government in the UK is committed to eradicating FGM within 10 years. And FGM is physical abuse. It's child abuse. And this is an act which takes place which actually physically cuts young girls. And I think an area where people don't really understand is that abuse is actually causing pain to the individual. It causes medical issues that last throughout those individuals' lives and the psychological damage that causes. And I've witnessed this firsthand. We had a community event in central London in March of this year. And we invited members of the community. There were no press there and there were no politicians there. This was just people who were parts of communities across London. And about 6 or 7 very brave ladies came to talk there. And they stood up in front of 200 people.
Right.
And you could see the damage that had done. It was as raw today to ladies in their sort of 40s and 50s as it must have been on the day when this act was committed. This is child abuse and we must work together with the community to stamp this out and stop it now.
I just want to relate that back to the community. Waxa uu yiri gudniinku waa wax dhibaato ku haya dadka gabdhaha yararka abuse na ah oo aan loo dul qaadan karin marnaba ayna muhiim tahay in laga hortago waxaana jiray eventiye booliisku ay qabteen oo muhiim ahaa taas oo sababtay in dad ay ka soo qayb galeen gabdhaha ama dumar oo ayagu sheegay maaragtay dhibaatada ay leedahay ayna muhiim tahay arintan ayada in laga hortago laga wada shaqeeyo bottom line kuna wuxuu yahay waa abuse caruurta yararka lagu hayo waxaan hadda weydiinayaa under the English British law and xaaladu say tahay Keith tell us a bit about the law where we stand in terms of law.
Yes, the law first was introduced in 1985, and that was the FGM law to prevent people actually committing the act of FGM. But then what we found was people were travelling abroad to commit acts of FGM, and that was outside the 1985 laws. So in 2003, a new law was introduced, which means that anybody can commit FGM, which is an offence in the UK, or actually outside the UK as well. So if somebody takes somebody abroad or arranges for it to take place abroad, then you commit the offence as well and can be liable, and it can be up to 14 years imprisonment. So the law is very strong and very serious about this.
wuxuu kaloo yiri waxaan weydiiyay sharciga waxa uu ka qabo wuxuu yiri 85 bay markii u horeysay oo la joojiyay arintan oo sharci laga soo saaray laakiin hadda waa la sii adkeeyay qofkii lagu qabto gaar ahaan kuwa ayagu gabdhaha xalaaleeya ama gudaha ka tiraadidba ama soo qofkii gabdhihiisa geeyay meeshaas 14 sano ayaa la xirayaa sharciguna absolutely clear weeyaan Keith it causes untold physical and emotional trauma. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, this is the physical trauma is that people are actually cut. Where else would you cut somebody and just allow them? People have died as a consequence of this. Certainly there's a case, quite a famous case in France where a baby died as a result of this. These acts are committed. There's no medical situation where this is normal. It's not normal. It's abuse. It is cutting girls. The physical dangers of that are infections. People could die through blood loss. People have these. They live with the consequences of this throughout the whole of their lives. And we have, and as I've mentioned, we have seen people who actually physically break down and cry and get emotional about this years and years later because it has damaged their lives both physically and emotionally. And we have to stop it, Abdi. We have to stop it right now. There was a girls' summit in July of this year when the governments right the way across the world, the vast majority signed up to say that they would eradicate and stop FGM in the countries of origin.
Yeah, Keith, we have our first caller tonight, Marian from London. Hello, Marian. Marian?
Alaikum.
Alexan, and welcome to the program, Marian. What would you like to ask or say to Keith?
Hi, good evening. And I'm a midwife, and now FGM is a big issue in many communities.
Uh-huh. I think we lost Marian. We lost Marian. waxaan jecelnahay inay dib ugu soo noqoto khadka taleefanka ayaa ku jira waa hagaag qof kale ku jira Fayruz Hussein ayaa khad ku jirta. Hello Fayruz.
Hello, assalamu
Alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Waxaa weydiin lahaa gabdhaha of lesbia mise wiilasha hadda ku jiraan?
We'll come ahead, no. We're only talking about girls and women.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Boys have nothing to do with this. Just want to know whether it's also boys that we're talking about. I made it clear that it's not the case. Coming back to you, Keith, FGM is a global problem and need a global solution. How are we going to? What are the police doing in order to make sure that this message goes across?
Yeah, well, we took part in the Girls' Summit this year, and that was there were a number of workshops during that. The Prime Minister came to the Girls' Summit and spoke to members of other countries, presidents and prime ministers of other countries, who all came together on that one particular day to pledge their support to eradicate FGM. So there is a worldwide message here, and we are talking to the communities. And we have got a lot of support. There's some great leaders, Layla Hussein, who you know yourself,
very well,
Efwad Dorkanu, Nimco Ali. These are leaders in themselves. We've been in front of the Home Office Select Committee this year. We've announced the NSPCC FGM helpline last year. And just to talk about the helpline, and I know that you're going to publish the number a little bit later on, but I am aware that people may be a bit nervous about coming to police. It's quite a serious step, and people have their own perceptions of police. And I worked very closely with the NSPCC and said to them, look, I need an alternative for people to be able to ring up, get advice, and report to police about occasions of FGM and who are the cutters. So the NSPCC volunteered, we trained them, and people now can ring the NSPCC. It's a free phone number. They don't have to give their name, but they can talk to people and get some advice. So if there are girls out there who fear that they may be about to be cut or they have been cut, there is help out there. And if they ring that helpline, then there are people who are trained that can help them with this. And if we talk about the law and enforcement, I am very aware that people may be nervous to come forward and give evidence because this is a criminal offence. But what I ask people, I do understand that, and if people do feel comfortable to come forward, we will support them. We will work with them, we will stand shoulder to shoulder with them through the process. But if they don't want to do that, I would like to know who the cutters are. And it is the cutters that are fueling this. There is money in this. There are cutters out there that do this as a business. It's illegal. And I want to know who those cutters are. And if I get the opportunity to find out who those cutters are, then we will do something about them. We will close them down because they are cutting the children of our societies, of our communities, and they damage those girls for the rest of their lives. As we said, not only physically, but it also is that emotional abuse as well, and we need to stop it. And I want to work with communities. I don't want to criminalise families as a result of this. We want to stop this. And I'd like, the government has pledged in 10 years. I want to make that sooner than that. 10 years is a long time. Let's work together. Let's start now. Let's start today to stand up against this. It is not a legitimate practice within any community. It is child abuse, and it physically hurts girls. We would not, when we take time to think about this, would we hurt our children? Would we cut our children with a knife? We wouldn't. We protect our children. They're the most vulnerable people in our societies. This practice has got to stop, and it's got to start now. We stop doing this to our children.
Right. You made it clear where the law stands in this, but what about prehistoric cases that took place 10 years, 5 years, or even more than that? How are you, if that mother comes forward and said, this is what I done to my daughter out of love and respect of my culture, although we know a huge number of scholars said that clerics, this has nothing to do in the religion itself. But if she comes forward tonight, said, this is what I done to my daughter out of love, how are you going to deal with her?
Okay, well, we will speak to anybody that does come forward, and we want to gain more knowledge and information about this. How can we prevent this happening in the future? That's where I want to start to take this.
Right.
Obviously, if offences have taken place, then we'll have to talk about those, and we'll have to speak and deal with those. But a lot of people that we find, we do have a lot of people come forward that talk to us about what's happened many, many years ago. They may not be things that are covered by the law in the UK. So for those people, then they won't be subject to the laws. If we look back at 2003, 1985, if people weren't resident in this country or permanent residents or UK citizens, then those individuals have not been within those laws at that particular time. The most important thing is that we stop the practice and we learn more about it. I'm told, and certainly if we talk about the Sierra Leonean communities, where these are called bundo parties, people are left in fear around this. They are threatened that they can't talk about it. It's totally underground. People don't feel comfortable to explain how they feel about it. They're told not to talk about it. They're threatened. We've got to stop that. We need to be more open about it. We need to talk about it. And the only way to stop it is to have that dialogue and feel comfortable and create an environment where people feel comfortable and not threatened. Girls need to be able to talk about it in schools, in youth clubs, in universities, in any educational settings, and socially as well. And that's what we need to start to encourage.
Right. Men also have a role to play in this, very important role.
Very much so. Men, the information that I have is that, well, this is the ladies, they are the people that, control this and they organise this. But men have a role. The child belongs to the man and the woman. It's your child. You are the family, and you have a key role to play. And I go back to this point. The point is, would you allow anybody to cut your child? Would you allow anybody to stab your child or physically assault them? You wouldn't. You'd protect them. So why don't we have the same view about this particular practice? Because it's exactly the same. So the men have a really key role here to play. Their role is to discuss it, and together is to stop it and understand that it's physical abuse, it's child abuse.
Great. Okay, let's go to the callers. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Soo dhow walaal magaca?
Abu Abdullah. Waxa weeye waa Cabdi Cumar waa ninka kula hadlaya.
Yaa weeye?
Waa Cabdi Cumar buu ninka kula hadlaya.
Okay, soo dhow Cabdi Cumar. If you don't mind, haddaa Ingiriis ku hadli kartid, waqti badan bay noo badbaadinaysaa. Haddii kale Soomaaliga is fine. Go ahead, Cabdi Cumar.
Walaal Soomaaliga ku hadlaya. Waxaan rabaa hello.
Waa ku maqlaa. Cabdi Cumar?
Abu Macaan waxaan su'aali rabaa ninkoodiga meesha fadhiya. Sharciga wuxuu qabanayaa macnaha dadka u dhashay Ingiriiska, mase dadka deganaanshaha kule Ingiriiska, sharciga miyuu wada qabanayaa
no anaan maqlaysa ma ogin laakiin su-aasha si u dhowaan weydiiyey qof kasta oo u k jooga ama ku nool ayuu sharcigaas qabanayaa oo waddankan resident ka ah laakiin wuxuu hadday ka dhaceen buu yidhi 85 wixii ka horreeyey meel kale ay ka dhaceen sharciga halkaan uma qabanaya laakiin wixii 85 2003 ka dambeeyey ciddii waxaa lagu qabta sharcigu uu qabanaya.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, حسب ولا حسب.
Next caller. Hello. Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Welcome to the program, walaal.
Mahadsanid.
Magaca?
Ayaan.
Ayan, where are you calling from?
Leicester.
What would you like to ask, or do you have a comment?
Walaalo Soomaali igula hadal please. Xoogaa waa layga fiican ingiriisi.
Okay, and wado maxaad doonaysaa aduna weydiisid?
Walaalo wax yaroo ID aan weydiin lahaa. Gabar yar oo dhalay oo 9 sano jirta ayaa Soomaaliya iga joogto hooyadeeda ii haysay way dhimatay. Islaan saaxiibadeeda oo 70 jir oo dhaqankii ka dambaysa ayaa gabadhii ii haysa marka gabadh baan u faran ku eri gabadhaas yaa la iga taabanaya la iga gudin okay bay tiri ha marka maxaan igu koodin kartaan sharcigeedana waa indefinite left remaining shaqo ayaad ku keentaa
gabadha ma la gudin mise wali lama gudin
ma la gudin mana ogoleen la
halkan miyay haru deganaan jirtay
ya
halkan miyay deganeed waa laga waday
maya
waligeed halkan miyay
Soomaaliya ka yimid ha
marka waxaad doonaysaa inaad soo wadid dabcan saas aan u fahmay
waxaad soo wataan rabaa walaalo
okay thank you I got it okay
hal iga caawin karaa
waa mahadsantahay waa ku weydiinay su-aashaas
okay
thank you Keith this Ayan mother from Leicester she has her daughter 9 years old back home and she's trying to bring over here for the first time but she's with her mum who is traditional mum who may be but through this young child through FGM. Although the mother made it clear that she should not be touched if that happens and the girl come here to join with her mum, what is going to happen? She's worried. Nothing has happened, no crime has occurred yet, but she's terrified.
Yes. I mean, the situation is that you've got a lady there who wants to protect her child. She is instructing for this not to take place. I think obviously the authorities, wherever sort of the town is, or in whichever country it would be, that would be an opportunity to potentially contact those authorities if there is an immediate safety issue and safeguarding issue for the child. But if this lady hasn't committed a crime, then she hasn't committed a crime. But what I would say is to do all she can within her power to try and prevent this happening, and that could be the authorities back home. But for that lady herself, I mean, if she hasn't committed a crime, then she has nothing to fear.
ayaan wuxuu ku yidhi haddii aysan dembigii weli uusan dhicinin aana ku dadaalaysay sida kaa muuqata gabadhaada yar inaan la xalaalinin ama la gudinin dembina uusan weli dhicinin wax dhibaataa ma jirto buu yidhi laakiin haddii aad iyo aad u walwalaysid oo aad ka baqanaysay gabadhaada in la gudo ama la xalaaleeyo meesha ay joogto nidaamka ama dowladda ka jirta la xiriir gabadhaada yarna badbaadi laakiin ilaa haatan wax dembiya ma dhicinin dabcan booliiskuna markuu dembi dhaco unba yimaadaan inkastoo aysan hadda kan ka hortegi karin laakiin dariiq fiican baad haysaa mahadsan tahay waa hagaag khad kaloo ku xiga asalaamu calaykum hello
yes
hello what is your name and welcome to the program
my name is DJ Imanke and I live in Birmingham and my English is not very I would like to ask about English.
Go ahead.
And I want to ask him, when we have kids, teenager, and we is doing something is wrong, and we need to speak with him. Sometimes I'm going to call you the social work, or I'm going to call you my line. How we can protect the problem we have with teenagers? Because we live in this country, and we need to protect our child and to speak with him. Really, it's not we fighting with him or we beating him.
Can I just interrupt you there? And what is that to do with FGM tonight that we're talking about?
Sorry?
We're talking about a completely different subject.
Okay.
We're not talking about social services. We're talking about FGM and how to prevent and can we work together, all of us, to make sure that our little girls or our little angels are safe.
Yeah.
Have
But
you got
the
a question
problem,
regarding
you're
that?
saying like a child abuse, yeah?
FGM is a child abuse and it's against the law. That is what Keith said, and that is where we stand.
Okay. Then I want to ask him another things. The child abuse, when we have a problem with the child abuse, like in a family, or like we have a problem like in a friend, I don't know how we're going to sort it. We can do it, helping us.
Okay, thank you, Keith. What do you make of that?
Okay, well, I think what I get from the question is if people are worried, how do they actually deal with that within the community? And the social services there were mentioned. The social services, people can report to the social services if they have fears that children may be subject to FGM or have been subject to FGM, because we've said that the physical and the longer term emotional abuse that takes place on this and the damage that causes, well, that's where social services certainly are somewhere to phone and communicate. People can contact the police. People can contact the NSPCC and the helpline wheel. People, if it's in London, people can contact Project Azure, which is my partnership team that deals with that. There are charities such as we spoke about, Layla Hussein and
Sure.
Nimco Ali and Efwa Dorkanu. So there are plenty of places where people can go, or if people want to look on the internet, there is now a lot of information on the internet. So there are people and organisations out there which people can communicate with and contact to get that support. But when it comes to child protection, that's the police and social services and the National Health Service. The National Health Service as well is available here for advice. The intercollegiate guidance came out very recently. That is the College of Nursing and Gynecologists now have a policy and a protocol in relation to FGM. So there's a lot more knowledge about it now. So if you phone up some of these organisations, there are people there who do have that level of knowledge and can communicate. This is about protecting our children. It's about safeguarding our children. And we need to do all we can. So if you have any suspicions or you're not sure whether or not somebody's about to be taken out of the country for that, don't just sit there in silence. Do something about it. Make that phone call. Contact the NSPCC, contact the police. Don't have to give your name, but give that information so people can do something about it.
Excellent. خدك لو كحيل السلام عليكم. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, hi there.
Hi.
Hi, what is your name?
I would like to stay anonymous. If
That's fine.
possible.
That's fine.
Okay, I just want to ask a question to Keith.
Go ahead.
I want to know, there is obviously, 28 countries in Africa, Middle East, Asia. There's a lot of people practicing FGM. Why all of the sudden the full focus on the Somalian community? I feel like, yes, we have come forward to speak about this subject, and we did so well to train communities and actually to come forward. But now I felt like that my community are feeling the backlash of it now. A lot of... Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
We're listening to you.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Walal. Carry on. Oh, we lost that call. I don't know why. Please do come back. Keith, we are known as, from what I gather, people are saying, listen, we've been suffering, and people labeling us, in particular in media, and terrorism, droughts, piracy, and what have you. And now FGM, it's too much for us.
Okay,
That's what I think where the problem is.
Yeah, and I think that's what the caller was trying to say.
Yeah.
Are the Somalian community being singled out for this? Well, absolutely not. They're not being singled out for this. I want to try and communicate with all of the communities, certainly with the Sierra Leonean community that I mentioned before. I've done a lot of work with people from that community, and we look at all the African nations as well. And in fact, when we look at some of the people we've mentioned, such as Efwa and Nimco, they are people who are leading the way in this. So certainly not in any way saying the Somalian community. It's a group of communities. It's a joint problem. And we want to try and eradicate it in all communities, because the damage it causes to girls, actually, it's not only just that physical damage we've spoken about, it's that emotional abuse as well. that lasts with people. And I'm sure we all want to join together to stop this. And I'm sure the caller, the lady, has got the interests of children at heart as well.
Sure.
And I am very grateful for this opportunity and honoured to be here and able to talk about this. And I've got to say that I've been embraced by yourself and the Somalian community to do this. And I think that's a really positive step forward. And I want to work with the community.
Sure. Go back to the call list, and we got a video coming up soon to show you, just to remind ourselves what we're facing and the horrific these young girls go through. This video that we edited and is suitable for you guys to see it, although it still is very painful. Let's start with the video and then we come back to the call list. Thank you.
waayihii hore lacagaha iska raqiisi iska ahaayeen lacagta aad ay u jilacsaneed mishaar ahaanba waxaan u qaadanaya 1,000 shilin u qaadanayay 100 shilin ayaan ku gudayay gabadha wiilkana 150 shilin ayaan ku gudayay kabacdi oo burburka kabacdi uu dhacay gabdhaha waxaan ku gudayay 50,000 wiilashana isku lacagta 50,000 ayaan ka qaadan jiray wiil gabadha 50,000 aan ka qaadan jiray best marka dambe koraan uu kacay haddana la joogo gabdhaha 200 ayaan ka qaataa markaan gudo tii ayuuto gabadheed u gashay iyo tii ay meelaha ka soo dhirto waalidka asaay horta xilka u saaran yahay hooyadaas ama miisay gadaa misnaanya gadaa ayuuta iska gashaa way u koostaa gabadheeda ayaan xaaraanta ka jaray leedahay lacagtaas oo muddo oo dhowr bilood markay koosto ay diyaariso ee ka bacdi ay dhahdaa gabadhan gudaya oo lacagtii naagta gudooga ayaan diyaarinaya ay leedahay lacagtaas isaas ku koosto ayaan qaadanayaa isma fangareen karo haddaan waalidiinta aan caawin ma ogi meel kale laga caawinayo ma laha sakiin waa la isticmaalaa sakiinta waa la isticmaalaa horta tan waa sakiin naagaha qaarkood waxay isticmaalaan sakiintaas aad arkaysiin hadda waa in furayaa dadka qaarkiisa maqaska waa ku culus yahay cunuga waxaan ku suubinayaa waa la ii soo diyaarinaya waalidkaa ii soo diyaarinaya sakiinteydaan soo diyaarsanaa halkaanaan soo dhiganaa suufkeygaan soo diyaarsanaa waxaan soo diyaarsanaa cirbadii oo aan ku duri lahaa kabaabisa waay tan ma ujeedaadi kabaabisideydaan soo diyaarsanayaa cunugii halkaanaan soo dhiganayaa waxaan soo diyaarsanayaa hadda sidii kodkodka ayaan soo diyaarinayaa kodkodkaana furaa waa in daawanaysaan ya kodkodkaan furaa waa kanaa markaan furo oo intaan ku diyaarsanayaa alaabtii intaan kusii diyaarinayaa kodkodkaygaan furana markaan furto oo aan isku hagaajisto runtii waxaan suubinayaa halkaan ayaan dhiganayaa waxaan ku suubinayaa
hagaag waxaad daawateen cajiradaanu idin tusnay oo tv-gan universal oo isagu soo duubay muddo hore soomaaliya meel kamid aanu doonayna aanu sheegno waanu idin tusi kari weynay waxaa ku jira iyo foolxumada ka muuqata iyo gabadha yartaa oo 3 years old xanuunka ay marayso iyo dhibaatada ay marayso questionku waxay tahay would you put that to your daughter nolosheeda aad jeceshahay su-aasha sidaas weeye waxaa laga hortagayana waa taas. Keith, what is your reaction to this video? Although we edited, it was very raw because of our viewers. We couldn't show. What is your reaction to this?
Well, if you look closely at that video, you can actually see the face of that young child, and you can see the terror that is in her eyes and the fear. She knows something is going to happen, and then she's subjected to this. You know, our children are our greatest gift. We have to invest in our children and nurture them and look after them so that they can become adults and lead responsible lives. Why do we do this to our most precious gift? Why do we hurt them? Why do we put them through that terror and that pain that that poor girl has had to go through? And we defend it in some way to say that it's a cultural belief. It's indefensible. It's child abuse. It will always be child abuse, and it always has been child abuse. We have a responsibility to look after our children, a moral and a legal responsibility. So we need to stop this, and we need to stop it now, Abdi.
Excellent, thank you. Well, Maghalisan, I just want to add that the mother of the little girl, she borrowed the money to put her daughter through this, thinking that she's doing the best she can do for her daughter. So surely there's a lot of education and awareness that need to be done. We go back to the callers. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
So do walaal TV-ga iska bakti fadlan magaca.
Magacayga waxaa la yidhaha Shukri.
Welcome to the program, Shukri.
Cabdixaafid walaal waa xarigood la yidhaha Shukri oo nafta ka waran.
Waan wanaagsanahay. Waa maxay su-aashaada walaal?
Su-aashaan qabaa waxa weeye eedo khayr qabooyin. Su-aashaan qabaa waxa weeye 24 saacadood horta waxa ka hadashaan gudniinka. Soo ma garan. Gudniinkana horta dee waa dumarkii idin dhalay.
Waa gartay.
Waa walaashiin. Waa eedadiin. Ilaahay kobta uu ku sameeyeyna waa ogtihiin. Waxaan idin odhan lahaa oo aad iyo aad idinku boorin lahaa aade inaa ereygaa ka waantowdaan.
Shukri, kumaana fahminin ma waxaad diidaysaa in laga hadlo oo dadka loo soo bandhigo oo laga wacyigeliyo, mise waxaad leedahay in la sameeyo marka horeba maaha?
Hadee dadka si artoon baa doonaha looga wacdigeliyo.
marka maxaan samaynay oo qaawan oo nu sheegnay iminkaad jecesha inaad saxdiisaana kuu dhegaysano?
aad iyo aadna waanu uga soo horjeednaa. 95% baanu ka soo horjeednaa. wax lagu hadla maaha, wax nin weyne halkaa la soo fadhiista maaha, wax mid kale sii baahiye maaha. waxa weeye waxyaalaha waxa Soomaalidu waxa ku mahmaadaa hadal baa yidhaahay odhanin haddaad tiraahana hayno.
marka waxaad leedahay arrintaanu haddaan ku fahmay in laga hadla ma ahan, wax la sheego ma ahan, hal la qariyo hal la aamuso yaan la soo qaadin.
sidaasaan idin odhan lahaa.
Thank you, Shukri. Shukri believes that shouldn't be talking about it. It's not something that men should talk about. It's none of our business. We should shut up and keep it like that. That's our opinion, and that's fine with us. Thank you very much, Shukri. You entitled your opinion, honestly, obviously. Laakiin waxaan jeclahay dadweynaha Soomaaliyeed u sheego waanu ka hadlaynaa kama baqanayno kamana xishoonayno maxaa yeelay dhibaatada waxay ku dhacaysaa gabar yar oo Soomaaliyeed oo dhibaataysan inaan dhahno waxaan waa wax fool xun, diinteennii baa diiday, dhaqankeenii baa diiday, yaan gabdhaha yararkaa la jarjarin. I think inay tahay a responsible thing to do, and we will continue to do that inshallah ta'ala. I just said it's very important for us to talk about, have an open discussion about it, because it's our daughters that are suffering at the end of the day, and they're voiceless.
Absolutely. And this is about, and you mentioned it, Abdi, this is about education. And the only way that people can be educated is if we communicate. And it's because there hasn't been communication over the years that we've got to this position where this abuse is still being committed against children in the community. So we have to create that opportunity. This programme is absolutely doing that, and it's a responsible thing to do, and it's the right thing to do.
Grateful. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi there.
Hi.
Can you tell us your name and where you're calling from, if you don't mind?
Yeah, hi. My name is Amina. I'm calling from London.
Ahlan wa sahlan, Amina. Take it away.
Yeah, hi. The reason I'm calling is I think it's a very good program, and I think it's something, we're all aware of it, what is, going on, and I don't think so the Somali community in general speaking, because I work with the Somali community, in general speaking, I don't think so, it's the majority, it's very, very minority who is doing that, and it's something a lot of people know against Islam, it's against the humanity, and it's something, I work with a lot of Somali, lady, and no one is willing to do that. The children, like the caller earlier, she say, it's something like it's stigmatized with Somali or either newspaper or either when even children, for example, in school, they come, crying and saying, my mom, the children, they teasing me, oh, your mom, she cut you down there and here and there, and it's something really we need to be careful, especially, I'm not saying the police but the media, and also something, especially this program, I'm gonna tell, is there's a lot of Somali mom who can't speak English, and this program has been, organized for Somali, especially. It will be better if you have next time interpret, so the people you conveying the message, they will get through. But here it seems to me maybe 50% Somali lady, they don't have no idea what you're talking about. Although this problem a lot of people knows, and a lot of scholar talk, and the community, the mosque, a lot of places. But still, I think it's very important if you're talking, even to go see this international TV, even all the way back home. People listen there. You need interpreter next time. Take care. Bye.
Okay, Amina, thanks very much. Well said. And we're going to have different program. Now, this is English because of Keith. We're going to have Somali scholars. We're going to have Somali mothers. We'll have a doctors who will speak the language and make sure that the message gets there. This is from the law side of the thing that we're looking at tonight. And I'm grateful to you, Amina, that you point out that, okay, there's a language barrier here, and the message needs to get to those people who don't understand what you are saying.
Okay, and I'll very much be guided by yourself. Whatever I can do, if it assists, then please just ask. I want to move this debate forward. I want people in schools and in communities to be able to talk about this. If the police can help there, then we absolutely will do, to work in partnership. There are a number of ways that FGM can be dealt with. Of course, there's the criminal law, but the criminal law doesn't always solve the issues. What solves the issues is where people feel open, that they can talk about it, and that we can actually point out what the damage that's caused is, so that people actually reflect on that themselves. And if there's anything that we can do to assist in communicating that in whichever language, so if we need interpreters or people to assist us, then absolutely behind that 100%.
Great. Okay, back to the callers again. Hello. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Welcome to the program, Walal. Magaca?
Magacay Faadima la Abdi.
Faadima, welcome to the program. What would you like to say?
Af Soomaaliya rabaa inaan ku hadlo, Ingiriiska saas uma aqaano.
Soo dhawo. TV iska bakti, Faadima, TV ga bakti, please.
Waxaan ku weydiin lahaa walaal su'aal yar oo micnaha waxaa dhahday haye micnaha wiilku fadhiyo wuxuu yiri gabdhaha yaroo la gudaa abuse lagu sameeyaa dabcan wiilashuba waa la gudaa oo inta gabadha laga goynayo kala laga gooyo abuse miyuuna ahayn kaas.
Okay, thanks, Fatima. Thank you. Mahadsantahay. She said, you're sexist. Boys are allowed to be circumcised. Girls are not. Isn't that not also abuse?
Well, the circumcision of boys is not against the law. And if people feel strongly about that, then there are politicians and they have to lobby their MPs and take that point. But this is abuse. And this is against the law. And we saw in your video there the circumstances under which this abuse is committed. And we know we have members of the community coming to us from all sorts of communities that practice FGM. And they are saying they want it to stop. Some people have been through this process themselves, and it's absolutely lived with them all their lives. They are coming to us to have something done about it. It needs to stop, and it is against the law, and that's why we are having this conversation, and that's why we have a prosecution pending at the moment in relation to this. So the male circumcision is not against the law. but this is, and we have the community coming forward to actually, they're asking us to do something about it, and that's what we want to do.
Okay, Faadimo iyo asxaabta kale oo aan fahmin wuxuu sheegayba wuxuu yidhi sharcigu ma diidayo in inamada la gudo ama la xalaaleeyo yaryar laakiin sharcigu wuxuu ka soo horjeedaa kan gabdhaha oo keliya haddaadse doonaysid in inamada koodana la joojiyo MB-gaaga u tag siyaasiyiinta waddanka u tag dabadeedna warqad u qoro waxaad tidhahdaa arrintaas waxaan rabaa in wax laga qabto dariiqaasaa loo maraa laakiin sharcigu wuxuu ka soo horjeedaa kan girlska ama hablaha yararka ayuu ka soo horjeedaa marka jawaabtaadi waa taa agaag qof kaloo ku xiga haddaan u gudubno halow
salaamu calaykum
calaykum salaam walaal soo dhawow magaca
magacayga hooyo soomaaliyeed ahaa horta waa ku salaamay
soo dhawow maamo soomaaliyeed
waxa way barnaamijka aad haysin horta yacni maxaa ahayta wacyigelinta iyo dadka soomaalida loo digayo oo horta waa ku faraxsannahay
thank you
madeeda kale waxa waaye hooyoy waxa waaye adduunka aad u jeedid nin waliba wuxuu lahaaye maxaa ahayta dhaqan ou lahaa dhaqankaas hadda waxa waaye dadka ka wacyigelinaysan aad u sheegaysin waxa waaye horta wax hore oo 70 sano iyo 60 sano iyo 50 sano waa jireen dhibaatadaas laakiin maanta alxamdulilaahi rabbil caalamiin waa wax loo istaagay culumaa diinta wacyigelin iyo wax kasta ay maxaa ahayto barnaamijyo iyo wax kasta ay ka jeedisay waa culumaa diintaaba istaagtay marka wixii hore oo la soo dhaafay alxamdulilaahi rabbil caalamiin dhibaatadii ummadda maxaa ahayto gabdhaha in loo geysan jiray masa يعني إلهي أنا قسمت بحيي هذا وحواي دين إيو محاي دين الإسلام كنهر توحى سحران اللي بكا معها مركوا وح إلهي لو ما هاد إليو مركز دراد هذا برنامج كاد محاي تدوينا شعب كنقول وذات كان ميت صوفة ديستينا وعدوينك إيو محاي توحي دباتو ليه كجيدنا هذا وما حسن تايوانو بسلامة.
Thank you. She said, she's old Somali mom, she said this practice is barbaric and used to happen back in the days, about 70 years old, she said, although clearly we know it's a lot older than that. And Somali community and the scholars, religious scholars, are reaching out to the community, telling them this is not part of the deen or the religion itself. And she put it, and she said people are realizing the danger, and she's grateful to this program and you being here.
And I'm very grateful for the lady ringing in because she is the voice that needs to be listened to. She's clearly a very wise lady. She's had the experience and she understands the physical and emotional abuse for this. So again, grateful for her and her voice needs to be amplified.
hooyo Soomaaliyeed wuxuu ku yiri aad baan kugu mahadcelinayaa waxaadna tahay codka ummadda ayaa tahay qofka maaragtay dhibaatada arkay oo fahmi karana adiga weeye أنا كوجو فرح سنة عدك أنا المقلة وأنا ما هالسنتاي وحن وجود بينا أخذ كلو كحجة هلاو
هلا السلام عليكم
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله سولو مجا
هلا المجا حاجة هو مسلم وصومالي
أهلا وسهلا
أهلا وسهلا ولا حد حاسس
ها وما حسوا هذا هو يسمع عليه
هلا وسهلا سيد وحواي صومالي ذا waxaan doonayay inaan halkan ka idhaa horta aniga hooyaanaha xaruurtayda kuma samaynin
okay
laakiin soomaalidu mashruuc baa meesha ka socda mashruucan ka socdaana kuwa soomaaliyeed oo doonaya inay mashruuc ka dhigtaan baa waxaan keenay halkan waddankeeni hala joojiyo ha laga wacdigeliyo laakiin anigu waxaan kasoo horjeedaa waxaan halkan soomaalidan guryaha loogu dhacayo imaka caruurihii iskuuladii loogu tegayo ee la baarayo ee meel kasta la marayo ee marka waxaan odhan lahaa hooyooyin badan oo baqanaya baan arkayo guryahoodii social service kusoo galeen oo dibadda taagan oo le hortoodii bay fadhiyaan gurigii geli kari mayno caruurtii bay baadheen oo
marka adoo raalli just inaan ku weydiin baan doonaya haddaysan ayagu hablahooda gudinin ama xalaalaynin maxay ka baqanayaan
walaalow waxay ka baqanayaan guryihii ayaa loogu dhacay caruurtii yareed laga yaabo hooyooyinka qaarkood inay waxaan sameeyeen oo maaragtay ay ka baqanayaan in la ogaado waxaa jira waxyaabo kale oo inagoo soomaaliya oo maaragtay caruuraha la dhalin oo la keenay oo wax kaloo kasoo baxayo meesha moogta waan ahayn gudniinka qura hooyooyinku marka marka hoos loo dhaadhaco la ogaanayo caruurihii marka la wareystoyna dadkani dhalin baa
dhalitaankaas meel kaloo lala aadaya just waxaan rabay maadaama ay mas-uul ka yihiin hadday ayagu sameeyeen waa gooniyo inay cararaan way kuu muuqan kartaa waxa kalifaya laakiin haddaysan samaynin sharciga ninkan askariga iyo ayadu way u siman yihiin inay iska celisoo dhahdo caruurteeda banaanka ka mar aysan taaban maysan kuu muuqan adiga
walaalow yaa ka celinaya ma garanayaan dadkani waxba ma garanayaan midda kale waxyaabo badan oo maaragtay ayaa ku dhex jira dadkeena oo maaragtay waxyaabo badan oo aan caruur aanaynu dhalin aynu keenay dad aanaynu dhalin aynu ku qoran guryahooda marka hoos loogu dhaadhaco waxyaabo badan oo kalaa ka soo baxaya marka iminka iskuuladii caruurihii lagu waraystay oo la weydiiyey waxyaabo badan awalba inagoo soomaalida iska daciifa caruurihii raayo awalba jeela ku jiray borogaraam kale oo maaragtay dib inoo leh ayay nagu furfurteen qolyihiini
marka haddaan dhinac kale ka eegno haddii gabdhaha yararka aan la gudin askartana soo aadi mayso soo maa
walaalow maxa la gudin la garay laakiin
gudniinka keliyaan ka hadlaynaa mawduucyada kale oo caruur ay dhalin bay haysaa iyo waxaas waa sheeko kale weeyaan haddii caruurta aan la gudinin askari iyo socialku midna albaabkaaga intuu soo garaaco kuma dhahayo ilmahaagaa guday soo maa
walaal lama gudin caruurta guri kasta caruurahoodo dhan lama gudin
maya waxaan sheegayaa kuwa adigu aragtay oo la guday haddaan si general u hadalno hadalku meeshaan rabno kuma soo aruurayo haddii gabadhu aysan caruurteeda gudinin askartu ayada soo aadi mayso social work soo aadi maayaan iskuulku soo aadi maayaan xataa haddii iskuulku uu baaro oo la ogaado gabadhan yaro inaysan la gudinin waa la sii daynaa mithaal baan ku siinaya gabar yar baa caruurteeda ugu yara 5 sano jirta haddii tomorrow morning iskuulku uu baaro waxaa la ogaanaya inaan waxba lagu samaynin dabadeedna ima soo aadi karaan marka haddii anagu aanan u yeeran sharcigii iyo dowladdii iyo booliiskii ilmaheena iyo gurigeena dhibaato imaan maysa maam
waxa weeyaan waan fahmaya taa laakiin mid baan ku sheegaya waa sida hablihii hore u sheegeen war wadano badan oo africa ku yaala ayaa guda oo waxaan sameeya ma jiraan caruurahooda iskuullada lagu tagiyo mashruuc lagu qaateeyo iminka soomaalina ka dambayso oo caruurihii soomaalida oo dhan baa iminka sidaa loo baacsanaya baasaboorradii qaar laga qaaday reerihii waxaan baa lagu baaraya
waxaan umaleynaa waqti badan ku siiya oo ku mahadcelinaya thank you
laakiin waxaana wadaan ka fiirsada haynagu furfurina boorigaraamo kale
waxaan jeclahay inaan kuu sheega adiga iyo dadka kale oo ra'yigaas qaba anoo soo dhaweynaya ra'yigiina kuna faraxsan inaan fikrado kala duwan la helo barnaamijyo fara badan inaanu ka samayn doono wacyigelinta ku saabsan gudniinka qaybihiisa kala duwan ee hablaha yararka annagoo eegeyna communityga baahidiisa iyo sidii booliiska iyo communityga wada shaqayn lahaayeen and Keith made it absolutely clear is not trying to they're not looking for to criminalize the community but to educate and win the hearts and the minds and one day inshallah the mindset of people will change and girls will be safe. That is I think the picture that we're trying to send. Is that right, Keith?
Absolutely. This is about stopping this practice. And obviously the law is there to protect people, but we know that over the last 30 years that there hasn't been a prosecution, and the community coming to us and saying that a prosecution would be really important. There is a case going through the courts at the moment, and of course if we have a case then we will prosecute. But we're looking long term, and the long term is to stop the practice, because in order for a prosecution to take place, a girl has had to go through this horrific event in her life that will stay with her and damage her throughout the rest of her life. So
one very important point that this last caller raised is that the schools are singling out, she put it, young Somali girls and going through them and asking them whether this was done to them, and the community feel victim of the police and the social workers as well as the school staff. I said to her in return, if we don't do FGM, for example, I took my own example. I said, my daughter is 5 years old. If she's checked tomorrow morning at the school, they will find that she's never been touched it. So I'm safe in that regard.
Yeah.
Are you aware that schools are singling out Somali kids?
No, I'm not aware that they've singled out Somali kids. What I've said about education is that schools have a responsibility to create an environment where girls feel safe to talk about it. And I think schools have to address this as part of education, like many other things that are talked about in schools, because it's education. But people shouldn't be singled out and targeted in any way, shape or form. What it should be that if FGM is an issue, within a certain community, then that community needs to talk about that. And in the schools, it needs to be spoken about, but not to target people and make people feel uncomfortable. Very much the opposite. Make people feel comfortable enough to talk about it. So what is FGM? People might not understand what it is. They might not know that it's against the law. So it's those sort of conversations so that people are able to understand, and then understand that it's not something that should be practiced, and then people can make choices. But if we don't talk about it, then actually we won't move this any further forward.
waxaan maraa hooyo Soomaalida inaad qanacday inaan la doonayn dadka Soomaalida in la xiro ama la baara ayaga si gooniya laakiinse cagsiga ay tahay arrintu saa adigu dhigtay ay ka duwan tahay. We have on the line Macallin Cabdinaasir Solo, one of our own football correspondent here, sports correspondent I should say, and an IT teacher, also a father of two beautiful girls. Hello Cabdinaasir.
Hello.
That's definitely not Cabdinaasir. Hi, hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Awesome. Welcome to the program, Walal.
Cabdixaafid walaale waxaa la dhahaa Faadimo London ma deganahay.
Ahlan sahlan Faadimo.
Waxaan rabaa inaan gabadhii igu horeysay arrinteedu kama dheera. Horta programkan waa program aad u fiican. Waxa weeyaan hadda culture-kan awalba culture xun buu ahaa wadankeena dadkeena ku dhex jiray community-geena. Haddii la isku baraarujiyo in la joojiyo waa wax dadka intiisa badan ay og yihiin inuu yahay waxaan kumanayn. Laakiin dhibka jiraa wuxuu yahay meeshaan in la isbaraarujiyo oo la yidhahdo arrintan hala joojiyo ma xumo. Laakiin community-yaasha Soomaalida iyo waalidiinta Soomaalida markii la yidhahdo annaga waxaynu nahay dad muslina waxaynu nahay dad dhaqankooda u yahay xisho dad xishooda
aad iyo aad
oo ku saabsan tahay arrintooda ay tahay dad micnaha kindness of abuse waxaa noqonaya markii gabadhaada yartaa dad aan dhalin oo aan hooyadoodna ahayn abahoodna ahayn oo ay maanta aragtay intay u yimaadaan ay dhahaan waxaan rabnaa inaan jeegarayno in la guday iyo in kale ama iskuulka ha noqoto ama guriga ha noqoto kindness of dil oo kale innaga inoo tahay soo ma aha
ra'yigaaga waa soo dhaweynaya laakiin waxaan rabaa fadlan inaad su-aal ka dhigtay because hadda waxaan weydiiyey gabadhii ka horeysay waxay tiri caruurteena ayaa si gaara loo baaraa oo loo waardiyay arrintaas ma jirto sal iyo raad malaha buu yiri cagsigeeda weeyay arrintu saas ma ahan adigu waxaan ka rabaa su-aal inaad weydiisid qalbigaaga ku weyn oo aad isleedahay su-aashaana dadkeena lagu badbaadinaya dan waa turjumaynaa waa u gudbinaynaa laakiin su-aashii hore haddaan ku celino adigana waqtiga kaaluma anagana waqtiga marka su-aal weydii toosa oo adag oo diiran oo cadkaaga ku goosanaysa waa ku gudbinaya ballan
bay dhibaato waxay ka haysataa socialka iyo booliiska oo isla socda waxaan waa ilmo yar waxaa laga yaabaa in iskuulka lagu waraysto oo lagu yiraahdo maxaa hello abdixasan maqle
waa ku maqlaa su-aal weydii fadlan
ilmaha in lagu yiraahdo ilmihii ama lagu gudo hooyada ma ku guda haa uu iska dhaho ilmaha yar waa aragtay beer yar waxay rabaan madaxadooda markaa waxay soo dhahay iska dhahaan familkii dhan iyo reerkii dhan in la gabagabeeyaa dhici karta ilmaha hadalkuu sheegay keliya
okay waa ku afgartay iminka thank you I'll come back to you I promise. Let's have Abdinaasir on the line. Hello.
Abdulhafid, hi, how are you?
Yeah, Macallin, make it easy for me. Speak English and take it away, please. Thanks very much for being for calling us.
Thank you very much, you and the gentleman. I just wanted to ask the gentleman from the Met Police, how come there's no more people are persecuted about this horrendous child abuse? Because the only thing we know now is that there's two doctors, one from London, one from Birmingham, being struck off from the medical practice. But this is widespread. What we need is education within a Somali community. People don't even know how the law functions these days. You cannot take your child to Somalia or to Middle East or to Africa, then do circumcision or genital mutilation and bring it back to UK. You will be persecuted, but the vast majority of the people don't know about these things. And this is not about, witch hunting a Somali community. This is child abuse. There's no difference what was happening north of England and children being taken from this country and taken to Africa or to Somalia. And second things I want to ask is, how come there's no enough officers are involved of education when it comes the minority community like Somali community? I just wanted to ask that, the gentleman.
Okay, a couple of points there. Really grateful for some really important points that have been made. Absolutely right, it is against the law to commit FGM in this country. It's against the law to arrange FGM. It's against the law to take your child from this country to have FGM committed anywhere else. And it's against the law to arrange for that to happen. So hopefully people are really clear about that now, that you will be prosecuted if you commit those acts. And your call is absolutely right in relation to that. And then in relation to education, we are doing a lot of work. We have schools officers and we have notification to schools. But again, we need schools to buy into this, to support what we're trying to do. We have all the materials that we can go into schools and talk to them, but we need to have that consistent right the way across the board, not just one school supporting it. We need schools across the board. And this is what I've spoken to politicians about. And Mr. Cameron is very keen that this will be compulsory in schools so that everybody gets the same message, because messages can get distorted. It needs to be a consistent message. And schools need to support this themselves. Teachers in schools, in areas where communities of high prevalence, they are the very communities that we need them to support us, and we'll help them. And we need to get that message and get it really clear, because it does start with education. We're not going to prosecute our way out of this. We're going to educate our way out of it. And that's the situation. And the government, as I've said, have set this 10-year programme. 10 years is too long. We need to make this, we need to start now, we need to start today. We need to enable people to talk about it freely, and so that we can change attitudes and stop the practice.
Okay, Keith, we're running out of time. Just quickly, if you don't mind, the lady, the caller before, Mr. Abdul Nasser, she said that when sometimes children lie against their own parent, school, and they say, yes, this happened to us, police and the social workers, they come and they create chaos. They take kids and she's accusing them for heavy-handed police. And something that even does not exist. Police don't know how to deal with that. Yep. And they're criminalizing kids, they're giving bad names to the family. Because once you have two van full of police coming to your home, sometimes, with the riot gate, it's really terrifying.
Yes.
Are you educating the police to make sure that they should do this sensibly and sensitively?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've mentioned Project Azure. That is our strategic group that we have to deal with FGM. I have 16 child abuse investigation teams. They are specialist child abuse investigators. They are trained in the investigation of FGM. They are not riot police officers. They are police officers that understand the subtleties, and it is the best interest of the child is always paramount in all of this. So people in riot gear going to houses is not always in the best interest of the child, and here we are trying to prevent a child going through this. So it will be dealt with sensitively. We have got the Project Azure helpline, which you very kindly will put out. Yeah. It's on the screen, and so is the NSPCC helpline as well. We want to educate our way out of this. We want to stop children going through this because it's abuse. And I think that your colleague and last caller said, this has been going on for years and we've had very few prosecutions. And why is that? Well, in order to get a prosecution, we need evidence to put before a court. And historically, that evidence has been required by the child in some cases. And people are reluctant to come and give evidence against their parents. So we understand that, and we will support people if people are prepared to do it. But this is why I go back to, I need the community to tell me who the cutters are. Because if we find who the cutters are, I can prosecute the cutters and stop them operating. And then that will be another way in which we can stop this happening to another child.
Thanks very much for being on University. We're grateful.
Thank you very much. Just one extra point, Abdi, to make. The lady called in earlier was worried about her child may be subjected to FGM in her country. What I would encourage her to do is to go to her local police or local social services, have that conversation with them, and we may be able to help and liaise with that country. So please come forward and talk to us about that. If we can prevent this happening, then we will do all we can.
Thank you very much, Keith. hooyadii hadda ka hor soo wacdoo jiray gabadheedoo 9 sano jirta booliiskaaga tag dacwo ka qoro hadhowta waa ku caawinanaa waddankaas anaga la xiriirina waxaa halkan ka cad sidaad arkaysaan in ay booliisku doonayaan arrintan inay soo afjaraan. waxauna Keith leeyahay noo sheega kuwa cutters-ka oo ayagu gabdhaha xalaaleeya ama guda dabadeedna maaragtay anagaa xirxirayna anagaa qabanayna idinkana waxaa idinkama yeelaya. There's two telephone numbers on the screen. One is for the police 02071 and 0800 is the NSBCC. They open 24/7 and we're great to have you another time inshallah ta'ala. barnaamijkan waxaa soo saaray Cabdalla Mudhir farsamo yaqaanadu caawa fariib ay ka bateen khayr Allah siiyo Cabdixakiin Fiqi Ali Naaji iyo Cabdirashiid Rashka gacan weyn waxa kale oo ka geysatay Aamina waxaan jecelahay inshallah ta'ala inaan u mahad celiyo Keith mar labaad. Thanks very much Keith. taqawada Ilaahay midnimo. Assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaah.